This is the engine compartment of a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. This particular vehicle was made to look in every way like an A12 car. It isn't, and we're going to tell you all about it, but we're going to do the engine compartment first. It is a numbers correct, unmodified 383. Still has the original AVS carburetor on it, cast iron intake manifold. It does have a set of ceramic coated long tube headers on it, silicone plug wires, Prestolite original distributor with the tan cap just the way it should be. The correct air cleaner that would go for an A12 car. Everybody's going to think whenever they see this that it is a six-pack A12 car. It is not. This is a 383 car with a 4-barrel, with the style of intake system, with the hood and everything. You can see in the background here we took the hood off, obviously the lift-off hood, to make it look in every aspect as an A12 car. Alternator appears to be new. Donnie always puts new belts on everything, so it's definitely got new belts on it. It's got a 7-blade fixed fan on it. It has a 24-inch Chrysler radiator in it, which means it probably has 323 gears from the factory. The radiator core support is totally undisrupted. The number is still stamped on the back side of it, just the way it should be. It does have a fender tag attached to it yet, the original fender tag that belongs with it. Also the VIN plate, which is totally undisrupted, 6-side rivets on each side of it, and Chrysler designation on it. The original still survived. The original washer bottle, beep beep horn, nice and purple, the way it should be for 1969. Everything on this car is just the way it should be for an A12 car, except for the engine being a 383 numbers matching instead of a 6-pack. No power steering, no power brakes. It has the correct bracketry for holding the heater hoses, which are still hooked up and functional to the passenger compartment. No leaks evident whatsoever. It has its original painted red valve pan covers on it. It has no leaks whatsoever on the valve pan covers or timing chain cover in the front. And obviously there's none in the intake. There's nothing there except air. There's absolutely nothing that I can tell you that's a negative on this vehicle. Everything under the hood of this is as it was in 1969 when it left the factory. The outside appearance of this is going to look like an A12 car, which you'll see in just a second here. These engines made an advertised 335 horsepower. They had a nice high-flow set of cylinder heads on them. 208 intakes, 174 exhaust, if I remember correctly. Correct style hoses on top. The hose on the bottom is also correct Mopar style hose. They have the pinch clamps that were factory from Mopar, but they also have an additional worm clamp on the top and the bottom just to ensure that there are no leaks whatsoever on the coolant system of this vehicle. New battery in it. I'm going to guess that Donnie put one in for us. Correct style battery terminal ends. They're not the ones that are just bolted on. These have the lead molded on to the wire just the way it should be. A dual stage master cylinder. Geez, I can't think of anything else to show you under here. Everything is totally undisrupted as it was in 1969. A great fit and finish in the engine compartment. 3-speed wiper. It's just an exemplary 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner engine compartment. So we're going to go around the rest of it and show you the aesthetics of the car. Hi, you're Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida. And today we have a really neat toy for you to take a look at. It is a 69 Plymouth Roadrunner, a numbers matching car, engine, transmission, rear end, automatic car, and it looks exactly like an A12 car, 446-pack car. So we're going to go around it and show you everything we can about it. The fit of this hood is probably the best I've ever seen on a fiberglass hood on an A12 car fitment-wise. Usually these things are really, really poor. This one just happens to fit as it should. The paint on this car is not driver quality. This is definitely a high-end paint job on it. And the fit again, you know, you got about 1/8 of an inch the whole way around this guy. 446 barrel designation, just the way it should be. And this is a fiberglass hood. I believe they were made by A&A Fiberglass for Mopar at that point in time. A functional cold air system on it. The finish on the hood obviously is like a matte black, a semi-flat black finish. Gloss like a foot deep on the rest of the car. Again, look at the fitment of this guy. The correct style hood pins, all 4 of them, are correct for the car. The correct style concave type hats, the stainless steel pieces that go onto the hood for your hood pins. So all 4 pins have to come out. You lift the hood off, and it doesn't weigh much. It's fiberglass. So all you have to do is take them loose, lift it up, and set it down wherever you want. A lot of guys would take a blanket, put it on the roof, and then just take the top and set it up on top of the roof until they're ready to put it back on. Or you could get a set of stands made. A lot of guys had them about 2 feet high. That way the hood, you put the stands on after you take it off, and then take the hood and reinstall it on top of stands. It served 2 purposes. One, it kept you working in the shade if you were changing plugs or changing jets or anything in the carburetor. But it also gave you a place to keep the hood. And also, if you're taking it to a car show or something, it gives you the latitude to not have everybody asking you to open the hood. All you have to do is put the hood up there to see the hood and see the entire engine compartment. The headlight bezels, the argent paint, the rough argent paint, just the way it should be, an original, the way it was in 1969. Trim around the grill area. Absolutely no dents or imperfections in it whatsoever. Again, the argent insets in the grill itself. The shiny parts are nice. There's no dingies or dents or marks or anything whatsoever on it. Nice grill, aluminum also. Bezels around this set of headlights the same way it was on the other side, just as clean and nice and fresh as can be. No dingies in the front of it from stones being thrown up through the years. Bumper fitment. That's as good as you're ever going to get one to fit. Also, the top of the bumper, no one's put their feet on it through the years and scuffed it or marked it in any way. Nice, fresh-looking chrome on it. No dingies or marks whatsoever on the front of the bumper either. So nothing's been thrown up through the years from other vehicles or backed into or whatever have you. The bumper itself is just as fresh and clean as it was in 1969. Parking lights, amber lenses the way they would be in 1969. Nice and clean and shiny yet. Alignment of this bumper is just exemplary. It's very, very nice. And the grille too. You can see your gaps around everything, around your headlight buckets, bezels. The grille itself, the fitment, and the front bumper, everything fits as it should. And again, I have never seen a hood on any A12 car fit as well as this one does on this car. Outstanding front end. Let's go down the side. Okay, driver's side, A12 type vehicle. The paint on this feels like silk. We just had it cleaned and buffed, and Jeff gave it a quick go over with some detailer, and I'm telling you, the paint just feels like absolute silk. I don't feel a single imperfection in it anywhere, absolutely nowhere. Side marker light in the front, just as nice and clean and straight as you'd ever hope to find it. Look at the fitment of this. This is total crazy. A12 car hoods just don't fit this well. Someone spent a lot of time making this hood conform to the configuration of the steel on this car. But the cowl area, the door, look, to the rocker panel, there's absolutely no deviation whatsoever, just as nice and clean as you could ever hope to find. Our little bird getting along with it there, Roadrunner designation. Trim around the front window, which is a sunshade fade tinted window in this car. It does have tinted windshield in it. I think it appears like the side glass is also. I can't tell you for sure. I'm not going to check to find out, but it appears to be tinted. The trim around the front window is just as fresh and clean as you'd ever hope to have. The VIN tag still attached with its 6-sided rivets and undisrupted from when it was new. Dash pad, there's no warps or deviations or anything whatsoever on it, or cracks. The metal part of the dashboard transitions to the base of the windshield, clean as can be, just the way it was when it was new. Wiper arms and blades correct for this vehicle. They're absolutely correct for a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. The roof is just a piece of wet glass. There's not a... you could read a newspaper if it was taped to the ceiling from here. That's how clear and nice the paint job is on this car. This is not driver quality paint on it. The drip rail, no imperfections whatsoever on it. Chrome around the front, the wing area. Even the base of it, just as fresh and clean as you'd ever hope to have. Non-adjustable mirror, the way it would be from Mopar in 1969. A little bit of patina right here, a little tiny, mild pitting right there. Certainly nothing that you'd replace. Wiped whiskers, just as fresh and clean as you'd hope to have. Of course, these back windows do swing out. They do open and function as they should. Door handle, the chrome on it is absolutely gorgeous, and it's original. There's a little tiny, I can't tell you that it's original, but it's not really patina. There's just a little tiny bit of, like little tiny pecks there. I can't even tell you that they're, it's patina. I can't even call it that. Door down to the rocker panel. Look at this thing. This is total crazy. Look at the fit. I'd like to see that. This is one I don't have to mess with and do any adjustments to. Wow. Sail panel area, just as clean as you'd ever hope to find. Trim around the back window. No. Thought I felt something, but there isn't. Little dinghies, nothing in it. Absolutely nothing. Half shelf, rack, tray, whatever. As it was when it was new, there's no provisions that I can see for the speakers in this particular one, so there was never any incorporated into this particular one. It's a nice straight clean. It's not faded. Where it mates up to the back of the top part of the back seat, just as precise as you could ever hope to find. Tinted everywhere. There's no Bondo. The edges are nice and sharp in the wheel wells. No one's made any attempt to modify them through the years, or the drop downs in the quarters, just as nice as you'd hope to find. Quarter panel, there's not an imperfection yet. I haven't felt a single little tiny imperfection. Again, the side marker light fits just as tight and nice as you'd ever hope to find. Side of this car is totally free of any imperfections whatsoever. Same thing with the front of it. And the hood fitment, I'm totally blown away by that. Just never saw one fit that well. Down the size of it is just exemplary. The finish, the fit, looks like there's no doors on it. I mean, literally cleaned out I can see a track right there. I can see a door gap. 15-inch, correct style, steel wheels with the chrome lug nuts on them, the way they came from Mopar, with the correct style red line tires that would have been correct for a A12 car in that era. They only made A12s for basically half a year. They were 69 and a half. And that's what this guy looks like. It looks like a real A12, $100,000 Roadrunner. Let's go out back, because there's certainly nothing out front or on the driver's side. Okay, the rear section of our 69 Roadrunner. Again, look at this fitment. 1/8 of an inch the whole way around. Precise fit, look. Can't be any better. The paint on this thing, I wish you could see it. There's no way that I can describe how nice the paint is on this car. It's just absolutely stunning. It's a show quality black paint job. There's not a simple imperfection anywhere in it. I haven't found a little ding, mark, scuff, chip, nothing. Roadrunner designation, our little guy with his helmet there getting ready to do some racing. Argent again around the tail light assemblies. The chrome around them also is just totally free of any patina imperfections at all. Nice shiny lenses. Same way on this side. And a little tiny bit, there's a couple little specks under here. Certainly nothing that you'd address, but there's a couple little specks on the underside of this jelly. Again, the lens nice and clean and clear. Bumper fitment. Absolute precise, just the way it was on the front part. Again, no marks whatsoever on the top of this bumper, so no one's dragged anything across it after taking it out of the trunk or put their feet up on it or done anything with it. Absolutely nothing. Parking light lenses, or backup light lenses, just as nice and clear, and bezels are totally free of any imperfections. No marks on the back of the bumper at all, so it's never been tapped or marked or, compromised in any way. The exhaust extensions are the original equipment type that would have been there for 1969. Absolute gorgeous back end. So we got a front, a side, and a back, and I haven't found anything really at all. So one more side to go. Okay, this is our last side, our passenger side. Side marker lamp, nice fitment, just the way it was on the other ones. Nice sharp edges, same up here. Wow, the paint on this thing, I keep going over and over about this paint, but you'd have to actually see it. And if you could rub your hands over it the way I am, there's not an imperfection, not one. Trim around the back light. Don't see anything at all on that. White whiskers, same as it was on the other side. Again, look at the fitment. Look at this. The gap, the fitment, drip rail, again, no marks, no dents on it whatsoever. All the rubber's nice and fresh and resilient around this car. I forgot to mention that on the other side. Another original door handle. Look at this. This is totally crazy. To have a Roadrunner fit this way is totally amazing. Again, no patina whatsoever on this chrome. Even the wing itself has absolutely none. And I'm going to call it tinted glass on this car because it looks like it is tinted to match the windshield. Truck style antenna base on it, just as nice as it can be. Look at this. I can't get over the fitment of this. This is totally crazy. Pentastar on the bottom, still original for Chrysler Roadrunner, and there he is with its act again. Side marker lamp in the front, and we're back where we started again. Went around this entire vehicle, you just watched me do it. I really tried to find a scuff, a mark, a chip, a ding, a misaligned panel, anything. I couldn't find anything, not a single thing. And you're going to see that. Devin's going to show you 100 or very close to it high resolution photos of this vehicle so that you can look at every aspect of this yourself. The car depicts itself to be a 446 pack car, which would be an A12 car for 1969. If this car were a real one, this car would be knocking on the six-figure door. It would be close to 100 grand, probably over 100 grand for the quality of this car, as flawless as it is. It's one of the nicest cars I've gone over fitment-wise and finish-wise. We have a lot of them that are this nice. This is just one of them. Phenomenal piece of American muscle car history. It is a correct 69 Roadrunner RM car, and it is a correct numbers car, engine, transmission, and a rear differential. You have everything that you could ever hope for in a collectible Mopar that looks like it's twice as much as that you can buy this vehicle for. It's available here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, and we encourage everyone to come down and take a look at these cars in person. But if you can't, that's why we're doing these videos, and that's why Devin's going to show you almost 100 photos of this vehicle so that you can look at every tiny section of this vehicle. Not only the outside of it, the interior, and the undercarriage. You'll be able to see everything. And we're also going to do, like we do with every vehicle, we're going to do a drive, we're going to do an interior presentation. We already did the engine presentation, undercarriage presentation. You're going to see everything that you need to help you in your decision on purchasing this car from Hanksters. Daytona Beach, Florida. Okay, everybody always asks for documentation for a vehicle, and that's what we have here. This is a breakdown of all the options on the car and a little scenario of what the vehicle is. It looks like a six-pack car. It gives you its 323 gear car and everything. Shows you everything that the car has as far as the options. This is the way the car came from the factory. It was really a base Roadrunner, as you can see, but this is a copy of the original window sticker that would have been with this vehicle when it was produced new in 1969. And here is the piece of paper that everybody wants to see. There's a copy of the original build sheet for this car. There's an entire copy of it, so you can compare this to the option list, to the window sticker, to the VIN tag, to the serial number. Everything is correct on this car. Engine, the entire drive line is correct for this car. And if you look in the trunk, we usually don't do trunks because we're already running into 40 minutes for our videos, but still has the splatter undercoating in it. Sound deadener actually is what it was, but you can see it's real thick in the quarter panels, just the way it was in 1969 when it was released. It has the original jack and the it's not the original tire, but it is the original rim that came with it. And remember I said about the standoffs for the hood? There they are wrapped up. We have the standoffs that also go with this. They're about 2 feet long, and they're in here. They're metal. They're made out of aluminum and polished aluminum, and all they do is snap onto the existing pole that's sticking up for your hood pin, and you can stand the hood up an additional 2 feet. It gives you a place to put it, but it also allows you some nice show time. You know, you can put the hood up with the car. Look at this. This is the original tag still on. It's all turning yellow, but there's the original jack instructions that would have been with this car. I don't believe that's a reproduction. It's already turned yellow, so it's probably 1969. Anyway, paperwork, phenomenal car. We're going to do the inside of it now and show you what we can in there. Okay, this is the interior of our 69 A12 style, numbers correct, black Roadrunner. Again, the dash pad, look at this. There's no marks whatsoever in it, just as nice and fresh as you'd ever hope to find. Nice tight headliner. Sun visors are the original style and just as fresh and clean as can be. Nice and soft and resilient yet. Dome light still functioning as it should. The gauge cluster is just as clean and clear as you'd ever hope to find one. All the gauges are real nice and crisp. The numbers are nice and bright white yet. Switches on the dash, nice and shiny, just the way they were when they were new. It does have a gas gauge, a temp gauge, an amp gauge, but it also has a trio of gauges underneath here: oil pressure, water temperature, and amp. So you have all three underneath the dash. It gives you an actual reading of what it is. No cracks at all in the steering wheel. Usually this plastic shrinks through the years and it begins to crack. This one has absolutely none. Of course, automatic on the column. Let's see what we got in the glove box. Nice clean glove box in it. Roadrunner designation on the other side. The back seat has its seat belts in it, just the way it would have been in 1969. So it does have a complement of seat belts in the back and in the front. So it has all the seat belts that came with the car. If you look, this one has the standard, very standard taxi cab interior in it. Usually they came with a tar paper floor in them, and most people replaced those with carpeting. Reason being the tar paper was slippery for one, and it also would sweat and it would cause problems with the floors of the car. So this one has been replaced with carpeting. Nice solid car. The door panels are just the way they are, the standard basic door panels, the way they would have been in 1969. Door actuators, the chrome is just as flawless as it was when it was new. Window cranks in the front, there are none in the back, they just flip open in the back. The panels in the back also are just as fresh and clean as you'd ever hope to find. The armrests are the molded style armrests in the front, the way Mopar did them back in that era. This car is an absolute diamond. Day-night mirror, no milkiness, no cloudiness whatsoever in the mirror itself. Fitment of the trim around the top is just as straight and nice as you'd ever hope to find on something. And again, you can look at the chrome on this the wing areas on this vehicle, and they are absolutely flawless. There's no patina whatsoever. All the rubbers are nice and fresh and clean and resilient the way they should be. When you look inside the door jambs, it looks like the day the car was produced in 1969. There's absolutely nothing. We went around this entire vehicle on the outside. We showed you paperwork for it. It's a numbers matching car. Everything is correct in every way on this vehicle, but it looks like an A12 car. So instead of being worth 50 grand, now all of a sudden it's worth 100 grand, looks wise. It's just a phenomenal piece of American history here. If you look at it as a standard Roadrunner, it's still a phenomenal car. If you look at it, and everyone else is going to think you're driving an A12 car. There's no way that you can tell this isn't an A12 by walking around it or looking at it or listening to it either. This is a strong running 383. Got a nice set of headers on it, a great exhaust. So take a look at it. It's here at Hankster's in Daytona Beach. Okay, we are in our A12 style 69 and a half Roadrunner. It looks just like an A12 car. You can't tell the difference, but it isn't. It's a 383 numbers matching, which Devin will show you pictures of. The engine and transmission numbers are correct, and it's not a restamp, a real numbers matching car with paperwork, by the way. Steering wheel, we already mentioned, has no cracks whatsoever in it. You got your manually adjustable outside mirror on the driver's door. We have an alternator that is functioning. You can see the gauge does fluctuate when we give it some fuel. Gasoline gauge is working. We have just a hair over a quarter of a tank. Temperature is going to be just coming up. In fact, we have a trio of gauges under the dashboard showing our oil pressure, showing our amps charging, volts charging in this case, and the temperature gauge just going to be starting to come up off its. Let's see if the radio works. Are you kidding me? Got a Mopar wheel radio that works. How about that? That's the first one of those we've had for a while. Okay, turn signal left. Working away over here. You can see it's working as it should. Turn signal right, doing its act over here. Okay, horn. Beep, 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 beep. We got our beep, beep horn working just like it should. Let's see if it rains, if we're in trouble or not. Okay. We got wipers that are working. Okay, apparently everything is working in this car as it should. Even a radio, you can't believe that, a radio that's even working. Jeez, oh man. All right, we're gonna go for a ride, see how this guy runs. Car shifts just like it should, speedometer working as it should, and it's actually showing us the accurate speed that we're going to. It shows 45, and that's, I feel, really accurate for what it is. Temperature gauge up, right where it's supposed to be. It is working. That one is not apparently hooked up. This one is. Can't have them both. You get one or the other. Car goes down the road. Did I aim it right? Car goes down the road straight as an arrow. Going around a little bit of a turn here. Car goes down the road straight. We'll try the brakes down here to see if it stops straight. But nice running car. Got a nice sound to it, nice rumble. Real smooth run, 383, shifts just like it should. Nice tight car. There's no shakes, shimmies, rattles in the doors or anything. There's absolutely no issues whatsoever. Even got a radio that works. How about that? Turn signals at work. You got your beep beep horn. This thing's all set for the road. Car pulls like a freight train, does the job it's supposed to. This is the underside of our black A12 looking 69 Roadrunner. Fantastic looking car, real high quality car. Drum brakes in the front, doesn't matter. Mopar didn't need discs. Sway bar has new ends to it, newer tie rod ends. It appears to be the original fitment arm, new idler arm. It is the correct number engine and transmission for this vehicle. Numbers match. Date codes are correct. The correct steel lines that go forward to the radiator pulling the transmission fluid. No leaks on the engine, bell housing area, or the transmission. None whatsoever, or the speedometer gear, or the tail shaft. Everything appears to be leak-free on this vehicle, at least at this point. Set of long tube ceramic-coated headers on it. 3-inch collectors going into 2.5-inch primary pipes. Let's see what else we got up here. Drop downs in the front fender wells. The skirting that comes down and attaches to the subframes, just as nice and clean and clear as you'd ever hope to find. The subframes themselves are totally free of just about anything. One little tiny jack mark here, another little tiny one here. Other than that, totally free of dents or any type of marks on them whatsoever. The transitional piece of structure that goes between the two subframes to support the rear of the transmission, just as nice as you'd ever hope to find. There's no marks whatsoever on it, absolutely none. Conventional starter on it, not a gear reduction starter. Original brake lines still heading toward the rear of the vehicle with the wire winding on them just the way it should be. The parking brake assembly is hooked up, original and functional. The floor pans on this thing are just as absolute new as you could ever hope to find. The pinch wells are still correct and evident on the rocker panels where the floor pans do attach. I don't see any indication that there's been any replacement of the floor pans. If they have been replaced, there's no way for me to tell. It appears to be a correct floor on the underside of this vehicle. Again, H-pipe, 2.5-inch primary pipes going back. The torque boxes in the front part of the springs are just as nice and clean as can possibly be. A jack mark right here, and another one right here and here. Okay, exactly. Here, here, there, and there. So apparently when they jacked it up, the edges of the jack caught in those two spots and pushed it up just a tiny little bit. You really have to look to see it. But again, the torque boxes are real nice and fresh looking. There's no indication. In fact, there's still some original factory paint on them yet. This car's never been in any kind of trouble whatsoever. The leaf springs in the back, real nice curvature to them yet. It has a set of new shocks in the front, which I neglected to mention, but it does have a set of new shocks in the back, and they do have a coil assist for them. But the leafs themselves have a nice curvature to them. The rear end is an 8 3/4 Mopar heavy-duty rear axle in it. A set of Flowmaster mufflers, 2.5 in and 2.5 out. Looks like 2.5 the entire system. The rear end also has no leaks whatsoever. You can see that. The subframes where they transition up over the rear differential, there's no marks, no indications that they've ever been lifted up or put jacks on them through the years. The rear parts of the spring perches where they mount onto the offset subframe structures, just as nice and clean as you could ever hope to find. Floor pan in this vehicle doesn't appear to have ever been replaced. The drop downs in the quarters still have their little drain holes in the front section of them the way they should. The piece of structure that goes across the back of the vehicle, there's no pull marks or anything on that, just as clean and fresh as you'd hope to find. Gas tank, I'm going to guess it's a new gas tank. There's not a single mark on it anywhere. It looks like it's absolutely perfect. And there's just about no way that you could have I take that back. There's a little tiny little bit of an indenture there. Might have even been done in shipping of the tank, who knows. But the straps and everything are nice and clean. The tank is nice and fresh looking and clean. The fuel line also is the original fuel line going to the tank. There's absolutely nothing in the in this vehicle undercarriage that shows any indication that it's been repaired or replaced through the years. Got a drip of water on me. The trunk pan itself, again, appears not to have been replaced. It appears to be original. So the undercarriage of this car is just exemplary. Again, all the pinch wells still evident. I don't see anything at all in this car that shows that it's had any indication of any rust or deterioration through the years. Huge brakes in the back, ventilated drums. I believe they're 11 by 3 in the front, 11 by 2.5 in the back, if I remember correctly. It's a nice undercarriage. It's originality. Again, you can also see that there are absolutely no leaks whatsoever on the driveline at this point. That doesn't mean a year or 2 years down the road that you're not going to see something. It has a fresh looking set of bias ply Firestone, I believe, redline tires on it. Just the way it would be if it were an original car in 1969. Great undercarriage of this vehicle. I forgot to mention the 2 correct style exhaust tips going out underneath the back of the bumper. Nice undercarriage. Take a look at it. It's at Haggster's in Daytona.